Welcome. Hey, a lot of people get stuck because they underestimate the power of small beginnings. They want immediate results and dramatic progress, and God often works through small, consistent acts of obedience. In fact, in Zechariah it says, "Who dares despise the day of small things?" Small steps are not insignificant. Small steps are often how God builds something great in us. So before we talk about overcoming executive dysfunction, let's first understand what it is and why so many capable, intelligent, hardworking people struggle with it. So grab your coffee. Here we go. Executive function is the brain's management system. Think of it as the CEO of your mind. It's responsible for helping you plan, organize, prioritize, manage time, make decisions, stay focused, start tasks, and follow through until they're completed. And when executive function is working well, you can see what needs to be done. You can create a plan and take action. When executive function is struggling, even simple tasks can feel overwhelming. You may know exactly what needs to be done, but find yourself unable to get started. You might jump from task to task, forget important details, and lose track of time, or feel paralyzed by decisions. This is where many people begin to label themselves as lazy. But executive dysfunction is not laziness. Laziness is not wanting to do something. Executive dysfunction is wanting to do it, knowing it needs to be done, and still feeling stuck. It's the difference between I don't care and I care deeply, but I can't seem to get moving. For a lot of us, especially those juggling family responsibilities, caregiving, homeschooling, work, ministry, and household management, the mental load can become so heavy that the brain struggles to prioritize and initiate tasks. As a writer, for myself, when a topic is tougher for me or requires more research, I notice that the laundry, the bills, the dishes all call my name. Suddenly, the task I've been putting off become more important to accomplish than the task at hand. So closely connected to executive dysfunction is procrastination. Procrastination is the act of delaying or avoiding a task despite knowing it would be beneficial to complete it. Most people think procrastination is a time management problem, but in reality, it's often an emotional management problem. We procrastinate because a task feels overwhelming, or it's confusing, or boring, or difficult, uncomfortable, or because we're afraid of failing. Sometimes we procrastinate because we're afraid of succeeding and all the new responsibilities that success might bring with it. Other times we procrastinate because we don't know where to start, where to begin. So we do something easier instead. I'm so guilty of this. Think about how often we've chosen to organize a drawer or scroll social media, answer emails, or watch television when a big project is waiting. It isn't because we suddenly became irresponsible. Our brains are seeking relief from discomfort. So procrastination provides temporary comfort, but it often creates long-term stress. The task doesn't disappear, it simply waits for us, and usually growing larger in our minds the longer we avoid it. The good news is that neither executive dysfunction nor procrastination has to define our futures. Once we understand what's happening, we can stop attacking our character and start building better systems. We can learn how to break tasks into smaller steps, reduce our overwhelmed feelings, create structure, and develop habits that support action. Productivity isn't about becoming a different person. It's about learning how to work with the brain God gave us instead of constantly fighting against it. So, if procrastination isn't really about laziness, what is happening behind the scenes when we freeze or avoid or put things off? I took some time to study this because I want to win the game in my brain. Let's look at 5 of the most common reasons people get stuck. Number 1. Overwhelm. The task feels too big. One of the most common reasons people get stuck is that the task feels enormous. The brain sees the entire project instead of the next step, like start a business, write a book, lose 50 pounds, or organize a house can feel so big that the brain doesn't know where to begin. When that happens, many people do nothing at all. The solution's not more motivation, it's making the task smaller. Instead of focusing on the whole mountain, focus on the next step in front of you. Number 2, fear of failure. Many people are afraid that they won't do the task well enough. We worry about making mistakes, looking foolish, being criticized, or discovering that we're not as capable as we hoped. So rather than risk failure, we delay taking action. The problem is that avoiding failure also prevents our own growth. Every successful person has failed. They've learned, adjusted, and tried again. Progress requires the willingness to be imperfect. Number 3, perfectionism. I wish I had this problem. Perfectionism often disguises itself as high standards, but it can become a prison. Perfectionists frequently wait for the perfect time, the perfect plan, the perfect circumstances, or perfect confidence before they begin. Unfortunately, perfection rarely arrives. The result is endless planning and very little action. Done is often better than perfect, and doing something creates momentum, while perfectionism creates paralysis. Number 4, decision fatigue and mental overload. Many people, especially women managing homes, families, careers, businesses, caregiving responsibilities, or homeschooling, make hundreds of decisions every day. Over time, the brain becomes exhausted. When too many decisions pile up, even simple choices can feel overwhelming. This is why we can successfully manage a household but stare at a simple task and feel unable to move forward. Or our mental bandwidth has been depleted. Sometimes what looks like procrastination is actually exhaustion. One of the red flags I notice in myself with this is I'll go into the bathroom and think, why did I come in here? And there really is only 2 things you can do in there, clean it or use it, right? And so when that happens to me, I realize maybe it's time for a little time off. Maybe it's time to curl up on the couch and read a book or watch the Hallmark Channel. Number 5, lack of clarity. It's difficult to take action when we don't know what success looks like. If the next step isn't clear, the brain often defaults to avoidance. Many people tell themselves they need to get organized or get healthy or grow a business, but those goals are way too vague. Clear goals create clear actions. So the more specific we are about what needs to happen next, the easier it becomes to take action. The good news is that every one of these obstacles can be addressed. Overwhelm can be reduced. Fear can be challenged. Perfectionism can be replaced with progress. And mental overload can be managed. Clarity can be created. The first step is recognizing that being stuck is not a character flaw. It's often a signal that something beneath the surface needs attention. And once we understand why we're stuck, we can begin moving forward, one small intentional step at a time. For me, I created a couple of strategies to move me forward when I'm stuck. And I call the biggest one I use all the time is the next step strategy. So when we don't know what to do, just take the next step. Not the next 10 steps, not the entire plan, not finish the product, just the next step. A lot of people get stuck because we focus on the destination instead of the progress or the process. We look at the entire business we want to build, the book we want to write, the house we want to organize, or the weight we want to lose, and our brain immediately becomes overwhelmed. So the goal feels so large that we freeze before we ever get started. The next step strategy works because it removes the pressure of figuring everything out. Instead of asking, how do I accomplish this entire goal, ask, what's the next action I can take in the next 15 minutes? That's it. Define the goal. Start by identifying what you're trying to accomplish, like, for instance, starting a home-based business or writing a book or organize the garage or create a budget or improve your health. The goal gives you direction, but don't stay focused on the goal for long. The next thing you want to ask yourself is the magic question. What is the very next physical action I can take? Not build a website, but more like write down 3 website names that I like. Not lose 50 pounds, but more like drink a glass of water. Not write a book, but open the document and write 1 paragraph. Our brains handle these small actions far better than the giant projects. So take action before thinking too much is the third step in this process. The longer you think about a task, the more opportunities there are for fear, doubt, perfectionism, and overwhelm to take over. Our brains start talking us out of it right away. I listen to Mel Robinson. I love her book, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, Go. Once you've identified the next step, use this technique. For instance, when I told myself I was going to work out every day, I put my workout shoes by the door, and I got up in the morning and I put on my workout clothes, and then told myself I was going to do it. I sat down, put my workout shoes on, and then even though I was like tired and didn't really want to get going and stuff, I told myself 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, go. And I forced myself to get up, go out the door, get to the gym, and do the workout. I was always glad after I did it. It's just the process of getting there. But I had to set myself up so that I would do it. Motion creates momentum. So then the next step would be just repeat the process, whatever it is. I know one of the things that I do is like when the house has a bazillion things that has to get done, I make a list. But then what I do is I put on a favorite show, a favorite like movie. But the ones that I'm streaming still have commercials in them. So I tell myself I can sit down, but when the commercial happens, I have to get up and take care of one of those things. So in commercials, I'm running like crazy to wash the dishes, load the dishwasher, or empty the dishwasher, and then run and put a load of laundry in the washing machine. I know this sounds silly, but it works for me. I get these things done then. I can check off everything on my list, and they're just very small tasks. I might have 20 things on that list, but they're things that could be done in a couple minutes. And like I said, repeat the process every time. We don't need a perfect roadmap. We only need enough clarity for the next step. Successful people aren't seeing 20 steps ahead. They're simply taking the next step repeatedly. Now, celebrate forward movement. Most people only celebrate completed goals. The next step strategy celebrates progress. Every time we make a phone call, that bill collector that we need to call and go through, everybody dreads those things. When you get done, tell yourself, okay, you get to do whatever it is that's your favorite thing. For me, it would probably be go out and deadhead my roses or something. Send an email, that email that you got to take care of when you get done. I also tell myself a lot of times, don't tell the whole world, but I'm a Diet Coke fan. And if I get 4 or 5 things done on my list, I get to have my Diet Coke. And I'll sit on the back porch, look at my garden, and drink my Diet Coke. Now, I drink the little tiny ones, so I'm not out there a long time. Maybe clean a drawer. Sometimes cleaning a drawer will get you moving. You're building evidence to yourself that you can follow through. Small wins create confidence, like I said, and confidence creates consistency. And guess what? Consistency creates results. The next step principle is simply this. Imagine driving down a dark road at night. Your headlights may only illuminate a few hundred feet ahead, but that's enough to get you all the way home. Life often works like that. God rarely shows us the entire journey. More often, he reveals the next step and asks us to trust him with the rest of it. You don't need to know everything. You don't need to have it all figured out. You don't need perfect confidence. You simply need to take the next faithful step, and then the next one, and then the next. Because breakthroughs rarely happen all at once. They happen one step at a time. You don't need the entire roadmap. Commit your next step to God and trust him with the outcome. Thank you so much for sharing your time here. You probably find out more than you ever want to about me, but hopefully it helps. Don't forget, if you commit your step to God and trust Him with your outcomes, then you'll be able to slowly, but at least forward movement rather than backward movement, be successful. Don't forget to go to our website, ihaveyourback.com, and I know this is crazy. You got to remember there's a dash between each word. It's i-have-your-back.com. And go to the podcast tab and find this podcast, and then download the worksheet. There's a reflection worksheet there that might help you walk through some of your emotions. So if you're feeling stuck today, don't focus on the mountain. Don't focus on next month, next year, or the entire journey. You know, none of us are guaranteed tomorrow or next year. Ask yourself one simple question. What's my next step? And then take it. Your future is built one faithful step at a time. It's good to meet with you. Catch you next time. Aloha.